Greetings and welcome to episode 189 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander, and I'm joined this week by Patrick Welsh.
Hello.
Welcome to 2020. Yeah,
Yay.
you haven't been on a podcast in this new
No.
year, which everybody keeps telling me, new year, like maybe things will be better. But I mean, it's been 19 days and
It hasn't been so far.
it's been 19 days and Australia is burning down. So,
But we haven't had a world war yet.
no joke. Waking up to that and then like logging into Twitter and it was like, oh, trends. I always check the trends for the bits underneath where it's like the Twitter's where I get my news from. And the trends were all
Well,
variations.
that's a mistake right there.
The trends were all variations of World War III, but then in the middle was Hatsune Miku, and I was like, "What the fuck has Hatsune Miku done?"
So,
I'm glad you saw it because I've told this story on all the different podcasts for like the last couple of weeks with like 4 or 5 people, and nobody else has seen it.
no, someone screenshotted it and it's like, what the hell? How'd she get involved in this?
Hatsune Miku started World War III. Like, what the fuck? I mean,
I don't like. Did the Ayatollah say something about her?
yeah. I mean, she is the creator of Minecraft, so you know. You don't know that meme, do you?
No, I don't.
It's a thing.
It's about Minecraft, and therefore, no, it doesn't even.
No, it's. I mean, it's the creator of Minecraft is not wholesome, but it's wholesome. It's like if someone like does a notch because this is where the meme came from. It's like Notch didn't create Minecraft. Hatsune Miku created Minecraft because Hatsune Miku is cool, and Notch sucks.
Yeah, I know it. I know that he sucks.
But that's the meme. So that's where it comes from. Because I remember Keith was asking about it as well once. It's like, why does everyone keep saying Hatsune Miku created Minecraft? Because she did.
Because Microsoft is just quietly pretending he never existed, which is probably for the best.
Good for Microsoft. Definitely for the best. I can't believe I followed him on Twitter for way longer than I should have done. Purely because it was one of those like legacy follow situations where I followed him when he wasn't awful and then like forgot to unfollow him.
Well, I think we've all had that happen to us. Like I started following Right Said Fred to be funny, and it turned out they were massive Tories, and I was very disappointed.
Oh, or like following Adam Baldwin because of fucking Firefly and shit.
Because he was in Firefly,
Chuck.
and he turned out to be the internet's toy.
And then he fucking started the fucking Gamergate hashtag.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
That was a moment.
No, it wasn't. That went. Oh god, that's not.
No, we could do a whole podcast about it, but let's instead do a podcast about this stuff. Every week we discuss what's been going on in gaming, the games industry, and gaming culture over the past 7 days. I'm still getting used to. I rewrote the intro a little bit, and there's like normally a whole sentence after that, and I need to get used to not saying that sentence. It's weird. It feels weird. This week we're discussing the delay to Cyberpunk 2077 and a CD Projekt Red spokesperson confirming the studio will be crunching, delays to both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Marvel's Avengers, the NPD sales results for 2019, PlayStation not attending this year's E3, and more. And there are timestamps in the description below the video on YouTube. So if you want to like skip around the podcast, check out specific things that we're going to talk about, you go right ahead and do that. You have my permission. I don't really care. It's like how you want to watch it. If you're watching it, that's cool. I think that's cool. I think it's cool. I think it's weird. It's still a bit weird to me that people like watch videos that I make and like put on the internet.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Like, but the numbers are there and people do watch these things. Leave a comment about why. if you're watching, like just why? Just why? It blows my mind a little bit. Let's move on. We got lots of things to talk about this week. Well, because it's the first news week back, so I think the games industry knew this. So let's start with our first story. Oh, I don't have a phone anymore. Like, well, I do, but I'm using a Chromebook.
Oh,
I've upgraded to in my levels of professionalism. Like, I feel like an actual newsreader now with the thing on
I
the
think
front.
that's the first time anyone's ever said a Chromebook wasn't up.
It's good. It's good. All I use it for is Google things. So, and it was cheaper than a laptop, and it runs faster than a laptop. It works better than a laptop.
And
Cyberpunk,
does about 10% of things of a lap.
but if I only want to use it for those 10% of things, then it's perfect.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Then it's perfect. Don't besmirch my Chromebook. Let's have a look. What we got? Cyberpunk 2077 dev team will work extra long hours after latest delay. This is from Eddie McCooch over at GameSpot, who writes, as part of a CD Projekt Red press conference following Cyberpunk 2077's 5-month delay, the Polish developer confirmed that it will be asking its employees to work extra long hours to finish the much-anticipated role-playing game ahead of its scheduled release in September. During a Q&A session, CD Projekt Red was asked if the development team would need to crunch to finish Cyberpunk 2077. Adam Kaczynski, who is CD Projekt Red's joint CEO, confirmed that he expects the team to need to work long hours to finish the game, though he said there is a plan in place to attempt to lessen the periods of crunch. Quote, to some degree, yes, to be honest, Kaczynski said. We try to limit crunch as much as possible, but it is the final stage. We try to be reasonable in this regard, but yes, unfortunately, end quote. So all the games in the world got delayed, like in the last week.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk was the one that caught my eye most of all because this was the headline that I saw almost immediately after. So it's coming out in September something now instead of April, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be crunching. The CEO said so. Yay.
Yay.
What are your thoughts on this development?
I mean, I don't know if we want to just go into like the next story because it's kind of related.
So many stories are related, but we can do.
Being about delays.
I have individual specific thoughts on these delays, like different ones.
Right.
But I can go to the next one, or if you want.
I mean, because delays suck, obviously, but it seems that companies are generally becoming willing to delay stuff. Because I think, in fairness, I think that the reaction to CD Projekt Red announcing the delay was generally very positive, and everyone was all saying, "Well, we're glad you're not crunching on this. We'd rather you."
If only they knew. Yeah.
And again, to CD Projekt Red, at least they're being honest about their shitty business. But it's, I mean, it just confirms that crunch is a bigger, and it's not even necessarily just a question of delaying stuff, that it's a managerial problem.
Yes.
And in fairness, not in fairness, but Cyberpunk's been in development the better part of a decade. It's not really like kind of like trying to steer the super away from crunch at this point was probably never realistic. I think it's probably for the best that they have delayed it, and hopefully it does mean some relief for the people working there. But I suspect it's probably
no, probably not.
And again, I suppose it's just that delaying a project isn't necessarily the solution to crunch, because that doesn't mean that we're not crunching. In fact, it makes crunch worse. It's moved it from a 3-month crunch to an 8-month crunch.
Yeah, it's like they were probably already crunching to get the game out because it was due imminently, and now it's like it's due later, but they're just going to keep crunching over a longer period of time.
I read somewhere, I heard that apparently the guys at CD Projekt Red didn't know about this until like just before they announced it.
I heard this as well. Like minutes before the announcement went out was when they found out that it was going to be coming out in September instead of April. It's like that must be crushing. Like if you're working like the long hours and whatnot already to get the game shipped in April, and then it's like you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then it's just like the light at the end of the tunnel is a train that just hit you because.
Quite aside of the fact that someone's just come in and said, "Yeah, you're going to be working 80 hours a week for another 5 months. But also, it's going to affect presumably how much you're getting, or how soon you're getting paid, because the thing you're working on is not coming out for another 5 months.
Right. Bonuses and whatnot
Yeah.
will not be coming out until September or October or whatever, whenever they get paid. Presuming the game reviews well, which I'm guessing is what a lot of people's bonuses will be tied to, because that's what it seems to be tied to. But yeah, like, crunch sucks. Companies that do it suck, and I don't really give CD Projekt Red a pass on it. Like,
No.
everyone's like, oh, but they're the good guys. It's like, are they though? Like,
Well, not going to Glassdoor.
no, not according to Glassdoor or this story or like many other things they've done in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I was talking to Moody because we were doing our last week's podcast was our most anticipated games of 2020, and Cyberpunk was on his list and it wasn't on my list.
Yeah, it would be on my list as well.
And he was saying like I was saying to Mr. Moody last week before all of this happened, where I was saying like the thing with Cyberpunk is I'm really excited for the game. Like I saw a 45-minute behind closed doors demo, like developer commentated demo, like live demonstration thing at EGX, and it looked really cool. But like every time I feel like okay, I'm excited for the release of Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red come along and do something, and my excitement goes down. And then literally days after I said that, like it was like, oh, the Cyberpunk's been delayed. Everybody's gonna crunch. Like, god damn it.
Like I kind of predicted the delay because I think it's astonishing, honestly, that Cyberpunk's coming out in 2020 at all. Like I didn't think when we saw the E3 2018, I didn't think that was going to be a 2020 release.
Yeah.
And it puts it in a very weird release window because it's going to become 2 months before new hardware.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like for CD Projekt Red, or at least what they think is, they've got to get it out before the new consoles come out, because they need that, or they want that like big excitement factor, which they're not going to get if they come out in November, December, or even like next year, like February, March time. And it's like, cool, it's out on Xbox One and PS4. It's like, cool, well, what about PS5 and Xbox Series X? It's like, well, no, they're not out. It's not out on that because we were developing it for the last generation of consoles. So I feel like it's not going back any further. Like, The Witcher did this. Witcher 3 had like 6 different release dates, if I remember rightly. Like, it was constantly delayed. From when did it come out? 2015. I'm pretty sure.
It's 2015.
I'm pretty sure there was a point in history where it was supposed to be coming out in 2013, and like it was delayed constantly, which is fine. Like, as long as you're not like crunching constantly, which seems to be the case anyway.
Part of the reason behind CD Projekt Red's reputation is that they're honest, you know.
Yeah.
Like they will come out and say, "Yeah, we're delaying the game because it's not ready," and yeah, we're crunching on it and it sucks.
I mean, I'm with you for the first half, the statement. Like, delay a game if it's not ready. Sure, definitely. But
I mean, the reaction against crunch, the audience, and I think that's fair. That's fair to say that generally the audience is understanding and receptive to the idea of delaying if it's helping the human cost of producing the game. But the idea of that being part of the conversation around crunch is only something that's happened in the past 18 months to 2 years, I feel like.
Yeah. It started with Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Like, when the guy was like, hey, we're working 100 hours a week to make this game awesome, and everybody was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. It's been around in the background, but it's become part of a large conversation about workers' rights and the imbalances of capitalism, which for some reason people in the past 4 years possibly imagine why that might be. My point is that it's going to take a while for attitudes to sort of seep in and change, for there to be like real kind of strong changes to alleviate crunch. I don't know if there's. I don't know. I don't really have a way to sort of all I can really say is that it sucks and it's what happens, and it's a shame that the extra time is being used for. I don't really know what else to do.
No, I mean, the main thing I think we can do is just to keep talking about it and not let it
Yeah.
become one of those things that just disappears into the background.
Because the fact that they're having to crunch is because of man already made years and years and years ago. Witcher 3 came out, possibly before The Witcher 2 came out, and there's not necessarily much you can do about it now. Crunch is designed to fix mistakes made earlier in time, and you can probably fix it by throwing more manpower at it. And it's not like CD Projekt Red's lacking in money to do that. But again, that's probably. I suppose it just would be nice to think that the industry was learning. Like, they just said, okay, lessons learned, let's not do this again.
I think the industry is learning, but I think change is slow. And like you said, like, I mean, the decisions that have caused this to happen were probably made before this was a big talked about issue.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's just going to be slow to catch up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already caught on in certain places where it's like you get companies now coming out saying we're not crunching, like they're actually like making pledges to say they're not crunching and say like, look, we're making this game, but we're not going to crunch on it. So it is making like a positive impact. It's just going to be slow going, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of delays, Square Enix delays Final Fantasy VII Remake and Avengers. This is from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, who writes, Final Fantasy VII Remake is delayed from March 3rd to April 10th, while the upcoming Avengers game is bumped from May to September, publisher Square Enix said sometime last week. In a statement, Final Fantasy VII Remake producer Yoshinori Kitase said that the game's delay was for extra polish. The heads of Avengers development studio, Crystal Dynamics, said something similar, quote, to that end, we will spend this additional development time focusing on fine-tuning and polishing the game to the high standards our fans expect and deserve, end quote. One of these is really fascinating to me, one of these delays. I mean, they're both kind of interesting, but the Final Fantasy VII delay is really interesting to me because Square Enix have done something kind of unprecedented amongst AAA publishers. They've delayed one of their biggest money-making games into an entirely new financial year.
Yeah.
Which is just like... So my thought process behind that is, like, how fucked is this game if Square Enix have felt the need to push it into an entirely new financial year? Because that's the big important thing for publishers, right? It's like, got to hit that end of the financial year. That's why Anthem came out last year, and it's the state that it did. And that's why tons of games come out fucked in sort of like February, March time, because you can't skip over the financial year because you need to report profits and growth, and investors need to like see the fruits of their... I was going to say the fruits of their labor, but they don't really do anything. The fruits of their investments.
Yeah, you see return on investment.
Yeah, so like for Final Fantasy VII Remake, it'd be like probably one of the biggest games Square Enix has got on the books, like for the entire financial year. To see that moved into next financial year, because that's going to cost them a lot of money, like in the long run. So that fascinated me, like that delay. Like how like is this game just fucking busted up right now? Like,
well. The thing is, I don't see how a month's delay is going to make that much difference. Like, it's a massive delay, really. Like, I almost wonder, because I hadn't thought of that it's going to screw up their financials. And I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason why they're doing it than anything technical. Like, to get, fiscal 2020 or whatever it is off 21. To a better start.
Maybe they've got nothing else coming out. Maybe they've got nothing else coming out next year. I mean, it's a domino effect, right? Like, once you move Final Fantasy VII to April and you're Square Enix, then you think, well, we need to move Avengers because otherwise these two games are coming out right next to each other, which means, like, marketing and whatnot is going to be iffy.
Which makes sense. It makes sense strategically.
Yeah, so it's like, I get why that happened in the face of the first one, but the first one just blows my mind. Like,
Especially, yeah, if you don't have a tentpole for the fall, it makes sense to move something to September.
yeah, like maybe they were banking on something that they make, like big, like something big that they were making coming out in at the end of the year, which isn't now. So they've pushed the
Well,
Avengers game back.
I'm assuming that they're cooking their numbers and it's all a massive attempt to make themselves look good. That's all
Next year.
I'm not an expert on finances and really don't know what else.
No, it's one of those things where it's like I'm not an expert. I know enough to know that like end of year financials are important.
Yeah.
Because
But
of like return on investment and stuff. But
the only thing I can think of is that they figure they've done well enough in 2020, and so have decided to deliver record profits in 2021.
yeah, or that they can. So like, it's cool if they delay Final Fantasy VII into the next financial year because they've made enough money in 2019. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. I was just really worried for a second there that I was like, this game is fucking on fire right now. Like,
I mean, there could be that. Like, I think it's going to come out, and it's not going to do badly, obviously, but I think it's going to come out, and people are going to hate it.
I think there's going to be a vocal contingent of people who get.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a Last Jedi thing where half the people will hate it, which means 100% of people hate it.
Yes, like 3% of the audience hate this, but they hate it so vocally that everybody dislikes Final Fantasy VII is going to be the discourse.
And they'll review bomb it, or they'll find something else, something to pick on. I know. They'll realize that it's 10 hours long and ends when you leave Midgard, and like, what? Where's the rest of the game? This is bullshit. Well.
Apparently, it's like a full-length JRPG, according to Square Enix. How they managed to do that with the first 5 hours of Final Fantasy VII, I have no idea.
Define full length.
You said the thing that nobody else has said when I've said that, but I've been thinking, it's like, but what does full length mean? Like, is this a 100-hour Persona 5 experience?
Like, is this Final Fantasy VII length, or is it Chrono Trigger length? Is it going to be 20 hours and done?
Like, I mean, I played Judgment, which is kind of a JRPG, last year. I'm struggling to think of JRPGs I played last year, and it was 26 hours.
Fire Emblem.
I mean, I did, but that was 60-odd hours long, so that was like 68 hours I think I put into that game. So, if it's that long, I mean, Jesus.
Technically, Pokemon is a JRPG.
Okay, well, I mean, that's like, what, 15 hours? Probably. Like, without doing, like, all the side stuff. Whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can mainline that and do it in 20 hours easy.
Yeah.
But that is also an RPG for babies.
But it's good. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was on my list.
I don't know how long Dragon Quest is typically.
I don't know. I played 10 hours of that when it came out, and I feel like I wasn't very far into it.
But I think unless the discourse is something stupid, like they've taken out Tifa's vagina bones, I think it's people are going to play it and realize there's probably not a lot of content there. I don't know. I just have a feeling it's going to be not a clusterfuck, but people are going to moan about it.
Yeah. I mean, on the other hand, though, people will like moan literally about everything. So
yeah, you took out the part when Cloud gets raped by bodybuilders. How dare you?
I mean, they already took out Tifa's boobs in their entirety. So
for God's sake,
we've already been down that rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, she's a shrinking petite Violet now.
I mean, that bra is clearly doing a lot of work. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. And her back must be in a great deal of pain. Because there's not much to the rest of her. Should we move on?
Yep.
PlayStation will not participate in E3 2020. This is from Christopher Drigg over at GamesIndustry.biz, who writes, PlayStation will miss E3 for a second year in a row. The firm told GamesIndustry.biz that it does not feel the vision for the event is right for what it has planned for the year. Instead, it will attend, quote, hundreds of consumer events to showcase upcoming games for PS4 and PS5. Quote, after thorough evaluation, SIE has decided not to participate in E3 2020. We have great respect for the ESA as an organisation, but we do not feel the vision of E3 2020 is the right venue for what we are focused on this year. We will build upon our global event strategy in 2020 by participating in hundreds of consumer events across the globe. Our focus is on making sure fans feel part of the PlayStation family and have access to play their favourite content. We have a fantastic lineup of titles coming to PS4, and with the upcoming launch of PS5, we are truly looking forward to a year of celebration with our fans, end quote. The rest of it seems to be history about E3 and PlayStation and whatnot, so we'll just skip that because boring. What's your thoughts on this?
I can't really bring myself to be terribly agitated about Sony pulling out of E3 because I think E3 is already kind of an artifact of an earlier time that's becoming sort of irrelevant in an age where everyone can just stream content directly to their audience and control their own message and have their own little Nintendo Direct things. Like, I saw, since I'm probably never ever going to get down to the LA conference center or whatever it's called,
the LA Convention Center.
Convention Center. That was it. I knew that wasn't the right word. It's not a big deal for me that Sony's not going to be there. It's like, so to me, E3 is like a series of hour-long announcements, and all this means to me is that there's going to be one less of those.
Well,
and
maybe. Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I got a lot invested in PlayStation during something around E3. I don't know if you watched my our predictions video. I might have planted a flag in the ground and said that they were going to do something around E3 time because they'd be fucking nuts not to in a console launch year. Like, there's obviously going to be some kind of console reveal event in probably February, as there always is when there's like next generation hardware announced. Like, they're not participating in E3 so they're not going to be there like with a booth. They're not going to get up on our stage show or whatnot. Like, because I get where you're coming from with E3, like, as a whole being like kind of old hat. Like, the companies that go there now don't necessarily need to turn up in LA, stand up on a stage, and do their presentation.
Or at least Sony, and for that matter, Microsoft, Nintendo don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft already doesn't. Like, last year they did their thing at the Microsoft Theater, like, down the street, but they still do a thing.
They do and they don't. They do a thing that's in LA down the street at the same time.
Yeah, it's like
they just don't go to the
do their thing separately, but at the same time. Nintendo, they still turn up because they've still got the booth at E3 where people can play the games, but like
they've not done press conferences.
They don't do press conferences, but at the same time, there's an E3 Direct like at the same time. Like, so reading this, it's like, cool, Sony aren't going to be at E3. That's fair enough. They're probably still going to do something, if not that week, like a State of Play, for example, like, or PSX. Like, maybe they'll bring back PSX this summer. Like, they're still going to do something in or around that time, because as much as E3 like needs to evolve to survive, like as a show, as a relevant show, like it's still really useful for all of these big AAA publishers to have this 1 week of the year where everybody's focused on what they're talking about. Because you can do like an Inside Xbox or a State of Play, or like just like EA could do a live stream and announce a game, but like I feel like there's more eyes on them if they do that at this specific time of year, which is designated for announcements.
That absolutely is most years, because E3 is when you're going to get mainstream coverage from, the BBC, CNN, whomever, who are going to send people to E3 and cover it. In a year in which you're announcing a new console, you probably don't need to rely on that on E3 to get mainstream coverage, because the details on PlayStation 5 are going to be in papers and websites. Whatever happens, they don't need to be at E3 for that.
That's true.
And I think that's probably going into the calculation here, and I think that I think that there's a lot of value in them in sort of moving the conversation about PlayStation 5 away from everyone else, either in reaction to them, i.e. if they hold it a couple of weeks later and they can sort of react based on whatever Microsoft's doing, or sooner and sort of steal the thunder from everyone else.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's why I do it. I mean, I I suspect tinfoil hat on is that this is probably the result of some sort of falling out between Sony and the ESA.
Whether it's that or whether it is just literally, because it could just literally be what they say, where it's like they've evaluated the organization, but the vision for E3 doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense especially after what we read about last year, that we had that leaked document about changes the ESA wanted to make to E3 in 2020 to like make it even more consumer focused, but at the same time not 100% consumer focused, like which. I'm trying to remember the details now. All I can remember is queue-tainment, where they had people playing games while people were queuing. But it was kind of like you're almost there, but you're kind of still trying to keep your foot in both worlds, which means that it's not great for either. So they might have just been like, you know what, fuck that.
Yeah, we don't need. Yeah, is it worth us renting out so much space at the convention center when we can just go do our own?
Yeah, we could just do our own PSX, or we could just go to PAX, like, which is set up as a consumer event. Like, I always found it funny last year that there was literally no Sony presence at E3, but there was a huge Sony booth at EGX. When I went there was the big PlayStation like area, which I thought was really funny because I was like, yeah, I didn't come to E3, but we got it in London, motherfuckers. But yeah, like I still think like they're gonna do something in the month of June, I reckon, or maybe like late May. Like they're still gonna do their own thing, if not like schedule their own state of play the week of E3.
Yeah, like if you know, if the thinking is that being E3 is good for getting mainstream press, it's like in 2020 when there's going to be so much about the PlayStation 5, like unveiling the thing and then releasing games and then having a launch window. There's already going to be so much press coverage of it in a launch year. I don't think they necessarily need to be at E3 for it.
Yeah, 100%. Like I feel like they need to set up shop somewhere just to like let press members play their games at some point, but they can do that wherever, whenever, right?
They can do that. They
could do it at their launch event, like, because this is the thing, like. In a normal year, we've got E3, Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, and the Game Awards, like to sort of for game reveals. Like for the most part, like big game reveals tend to happen at those 4 shows, whereas now like we also have potentially 2 console launch events in the first like quarter of this year are probably going to happen. Where like I think you're going to see some game reveals at those as well because it just makes sense. Like, here's what you're going to be able to play on your PlayStation. Like, nobody's going to make the Xbox mistake of being like, you can watch TV on this thing. Check it out. Play fantasy football while you're watching the NFL.
Well, I think there's value in doing it the way that Sony did with the PS4, which is you have one event sort of announcing its technical specifications, and then you have another event like an E3 to talk about.
Here's all the games.
Software. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a blueprint that works. Like... 100%.
As opposed to getting, what's his face from Quantic Dreams, his name escapes me, just getting him out to talk about, we're going to be able to render him. Going to be able to render eyeballs in so much detail.
What if robots had emotions? And it was all about racism. Oh God, Detroit Become Human was such a terrible game. Oh. You could legit do the fucking Martin Luther King speech as an option. Oh God, I'm having flashbacks now. Me and Tom played that game sitting right here together for like an entire weekend. We just fucking did the whole thing in one weekend. And I'll tell you what, it was hilarious. It was funny in the same way as like watching The Room with other people is funny. Like, this is a bad game, but it's kind of entertaining as well.
But he's quite a good spokesman for the company to come out and talk about the technical stuff because he
Absolutely.
sort of he was quite good at sort of breaking down the actual technology means and sort of here's what we can actually do with it. I mean, it's probably so much bollocks, but it's quite useful. To have.
It's useful to have someone talking about that for sure.
Yeah. Whereas if I say it's got 20 teraflops in an SSD drive, what does that mean to most people?
Yeah, it's like you could say like, oh, loading times will be like 90% faster because of the terabyte solid state drive that the PlayStation 5 is equipped with. Like, or you could just to have someone come out on stage and go, check out this is Spider-Man on PS4, click. Here's the load screen, and then just go, this is on PS5, click, and then it just loads instantly.
Yeah, look at the draw distances that we have on this because we don't have to load it in individually.
Yeah. It's like comparisons are always like really cool, like to sort of say like this is what it looks like now, this is what it's going to look like in 12 months. Yeah. Like without going like teraflops and resolutions and frame rates. I'm not looking forward to this discussion coming back up net.
No, because it's going to be the same.
Because it's going to be the same. Which console has the best frame rates?
Yeah.
Well,
who cares?
Does it play the fucking game? Okay, cool. Then.
Well, as we say, it doesn't care, but that narrative did hurt Microsoft.
It did.
I don't think it's the principal problem the Xbox One had at launch, but
Don Matrick was the principal problem the Xbox One had.
It did hurt, and it especially hurt when Microsoft sort of cottoned on and tried to fix it. So we have to get everything running at 1080p. It's like, okay, but that's going to hurt frame. So it doesn't matter as long as we can say 1080p on the back.
Yeah, it hurt a lot of games. Like, it was like people who cared about that stuff shooting themselves in the foot, because you can guarantee, like, it hurt Halo 5 immeasurably because they had to remove split screen from Halo 5 because they had to get it running at 60 frames a second, and they couldn't compromise that because of the discussions that had happened earlier in the generation and the fact that Halo's always ran at 60 frames a second. And then it's like, yeah, cool, but that means there's no split screen because we can't render the game twice and still have it work at 60 frames a second. Like, because the graphics look too fucking good. And
people are always going to be looking for some sort of numeric measure of one console being better than the other, and that's going to be really hard this generation because there isn't going to be a technical difference between the two.
No, it's pretty much the same consoles in different boxes with some slightly different games.
But one will have more flops, possibly.
Tell me about flops. Do you mean teraflops or flops games? I remember the Order 1886. I remember Killzone. I remember the early years of PS4. Everyone's going, oh, but they've got the greatest lineup of exclusive games. Yeah, well, they didn't always. Trust me. I fucking played them.
Okay, in fairness to Sony, the launch lineup for every console is terrible. Like, the first 18 months of every console is a bad lineup.
However, counterpoint, Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey.
Counterpoint, Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game.
Okay, fine. I was trying to be clever, and you got me. The best PS4 launch title was Resogun. And the best Xbox One launch title was Titanfall. And considering that came out like 7 months later, like, yeah. Launch lineups generally suck.
Not Rise.
Fucking hell, I forgot about that game. You know, I never actually played that game. I played it for 15 minutes at EGX. The only notable thing that happened while I was playing it was, because this was before the consoles came out and we knew anything about them, the only notable thing that happened while I was playing it was the guy standing next to me doing the demo decided the game sucked, so he was going to hit the button to try and see what the dashboard looked like, you know, like the home screen, because we'd never seen what it looked like before. So I got to see the home screen of the Xbox One before anyone. Because the game sucked. It was so
I don't know.
boring.
I mean, I just assumed it sucked and therefore took no interest in it.
I played 15 minutes of it and that was enough. And then when I got my Xbox One at launch, I got it with Dead Rising, and that wasn't very good either.
I played Infamous Second Son.
That was okay.
It's perfectly serviceable.
It had a really good cover of the Nirvana song. The band did Dead Sarah did it. What song were they covering? Heart Shaped Box.
All right.
It was a really good cover.
Of course. That's the one that always gets covered.
Yeah. So I knew it wasn't Team Spirit, and I was like, what was it?
Like, Infamous was probably, that's the sort of thing you want to have at launch. It's not great, but it's obviously a visual upgrade from what came before.
Yeah.
So you can sort of sell this like, here's what the new console's capable of. Isn't it pretty? It's very pretty. Is the game any good? Well, it's so.
Well, it's all right. I mean, let's be fair, the true sort of PS4 has the best exclusives narrative probably didn't kick off properly until Bloodborne came out. Like,
No, probably
that's
didn't.
just a fact. I remember playing that in EGX and being like,
But
this is fucking amazing.
but for the first 18 months of the console, our consoles run at 1080p.
It's the
30
best
frames
place
per
to
second.
play third-party games, which were probably the better games to get at that point. So, like, you got Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Call of Duty and Watch Dogs and whatever else there was in that period, and it's the best place to play them is on PS4.
Destiny.
Let's not talk about Destiny. That game disappointed me to my very core.
You weren't the only one that it disappointed. Don't say
Let's.
anything bad about Destiny because people will come after you and say, no, it's really good now. It's the best game
Oh
of the generation.
man, I've been fighting those fights for years. Destiny sucks. For me personally, like you know what I'm like what you like, play what you want to play. When I say like a game sucks, I mean I'm talking like personally for me. I didn't like this game, like Destiny. Should we move on?
Move on.
Move on. So next up, we've got the MPD breakdown for both December 2019 and 2019 as a whole. So I've got three lists. One of them's really boring, so I put it at the bottom. So first of all, we've got the top 10 best-selling games of December 2019. So this is December, not the whole year. In December, the best-selling game was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Shock horror. Second was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Third was Madden NFL 20. Fourth was NBA 2K20. Fifth was Luigi's Mansion 3. Sixth was Pokemon Sword. Seventh was Mario Kart 8. 8 was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. 9 was Pokemon Shield. And 10 was Minecraft. As a note, half of the top 20 best-selling games of December 2019 were Nintendo games. A lot of Nintendo games were sold.
Yeah, but two of them are also Pokemon games and are the same.
I think it was 3. Because I remember the November MPD had Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, but it also had the double pack. And the only reason I remember that is because the Pokemon Sword and Shield double pack outsold Pokemon Shield. So more people bought the double pack than they did Shield.
I was going to say who's getting a double pack for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then I realized parents are getting it.
So that's cool. I like Luigi's Mansion 3. Did well. Fifth best-selling game of December. And the only other notable thing I think is Star Wars was second, which was good. For them, nothing really came out in December though, so there were no new games to sort of look at and go, how did this do? Death Stranding dropped like a fucking rock though. Like that just hit in November and just disappeared.
What I think would happen is once reviews came, everyone and the conversation was over. Everyone's just kind of like, okay.
Like the problem with Death Stranding was not necessarily the reviews because it reviewed really well. Like it reviewed like the reviews were a bit all over the place, but the problem is even the people who reviewed it like this is one of the best games of the year would still be like, well, do you recommend it to me? They'd be like, there'd be a pause where it's like, I don't know. It depends. Whereas like,
how do you feel about Crazy Kojima bullshit?
Yeah, whereas like I think you get something like Star Wars and it's like someone says to me, do you recommend Star Wars to me? I mean, my answer will probably yes, because it's a great game, but I would also be like, it'd be really easy to answer that question.
Well, also you can sort of break it down to what it is. It's like it's Dark Souls being done by Respawn for Star Wars license.
Yeah.
Like you can sort of break that down in a man's way, whereas I still don't fully understand what Death Stranding is, having not played it.
I played 40 hours of it. I could sit here and explain it, but we don't have another 3 hours. So yeah, that was the month of December, but the one everybody was waiting for. The top 10 best-selling games of 2019. Number 10 will shock you. Number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Surprise, surprise. Number 2, NBA 2K20. Number 3, Madden NFL 20. Number 4, Borderlands 3. Number 5, Mortal Kombat 11. Number 6, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Number 7, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 8, Kingdom Hearts 3. Number 9, Tom Clancy's The Division 2. And number 10, Mario Kart 8. From out of nowhere. Like Mario Kart 8.
It's not that. It's not that out of nowhere because the Switch is the best-selling console, and the attach rate between the Switch and Mario is probably about 1 to 1.
This is true, but like Mario Kart 8 hasn't been a thing in the top 10 for like yet a date, like since like June probably. Um, I was talking because I can't remember if it was you or Moody who was in when we were talking about the November game sales, and it looked pretty much like this. The top 9 was pretty much how it was, and in 10 was Anthem. And I remember asking the question, is Anthem gonna get beaten by Pokemon Sword? Like, is Pokemon Sword gonna be the 10th best selling game of 2019? Or is Anthem? And we were both like, probably Pokemon. We figured Anthem was gonna get taken out of the. We hoped that Anthem wasn't gonna be one of the best selling games of 2019. Didn't see Mario Kart 8 coming though.
Mario Kart 8 was part of Nintendo's Black Friday digital sale.
That might have something to do with it.
And I'd imagine Pro got thrown into walls.
Yeah. Like Mario Kart just came up with a blue shell right behind both. And it just it did that thing where it just went through Pokemon Sword and then took out Anthem and it just raced past them both. Which I found fascinating.
Mario Kart 8 is really good.
It's a fantastic game.
It's the best Mario Kart.
It is. This is.
I mean, the best Mario Kart is usually the one that's most recently released, anyway. But yeah,
this is true. Like
it also came out. It's also a game from 2015 Wii U.
Yeah. 8 Deluxe on Switch comes with the DLC, right?
Yeah. That's the other thing. I mean, I know why. It's because they're Nintendo weird. Why the hell are they not releasing more DLC for Mario?
I don't know. Like
you'd think they'd be pulling teams off fucking Fire Emblem, throwing intelligent systems into just making tracks for Mario Kart.
Or maybe they're making Mario Kart 9. Like maybe 8 was just something to pad out the launch window.
Well, ordinarily there'll be one Mario Kart game for each generation. Technically, Mario Kart 8 was for the Wii U, but it was also because it was released on Wii U. I don't want to say nobody played it because everyone who got a Wii U played Mario Kart 8. That's not that many people.
I did. I did both of those things. It's fine. But yeah, I think maybe Mario Kart 9 might be a thing. Because the thing is, it's normally there's big gaps between these things because, like you say, there's only one game per generation or per console generation. The problem is, the Wii U's console generation was 4 years. Before they got the new one. It's which I feel is kind of upended the timetable a little bit. It's why we're getting sequel teasers for Breath of the Wild. Because obviously Breath of the Wild was probably meant to be a Wii U game at some point until they decided to cut their losses.
It was a Wii U game.
It was on Wii U. So I feel like that's why we're getting another one on the Switch.
I suspect this is a whole other issue. I suspect that Mario Odyssey was probably a Wii U game that did get ported to Switch, and Nintendo just cut their losses. And it's only probably been in the past year or so moved away from what were probably originally Wii U projects to original Switch.
It's now we're on to here's what was gonna be the Switch's launch lineup. Notes on that. There were some notes about how good Call of Duty Modern Warfare did. I don't care. I'm bored of Call of Duty. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has become Respawn Entertainment's best-selling game of all time in just 2 months on sale.
Okay, in fairness, they've only released games free to play.
This is true. And I know EA buried...
And 2 of them were Titanfall.
EA buried Titanfall 2 in a shallow grave before it ever came out, and Titanfall 1 was an Xbox One exclusive. Which at the time seemed like a good idea because Xbox 360 was the best selling of the 2 consoles. But yes, it was a note, so I put it in here. Both of the notes on here are kind of well, duh, because the next one is Nintendo Switch was the best selling platform of 2019. Duh. No kidding. The top 10 best-selling games of the decade from 2010 to 2019. I felt obligated to put this in. It was actually a top 20 list, but the full top 20 depressed the shit out of me, to be honest. The full top 10 does.
I kind of want to hear the full top 20 now.
It was a lot of Call of Duty games. Number one, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Surprising,
no one. The best-selling game of all time. Number 2, Call of Duty Black Ops. Number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Number 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 5, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Number 6, Call of Duty Ghosts. Number 7, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 8, Call of Duty World War 2. Number 9, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And number 10, Minecraft. It's a lot of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Do you like? I figured this was going to take like 2 seconds. Do you have any thoughts on Call of Duty basically being the top best-selling games of the decade?
Really, no. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Congrats, I guess.
I mean, I suppose for people who care more about Call of Duty, it might be interesting to consider the order.
Maybe.
Like, should we feel strongly that Black Ops, the first Black Ops, is tops? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't have as much investment in Call of Duty, but I have just gone on Matt Piscatella's Twitter. If you want to hear the rest of the top 20, it's actually a little bit more interesting. So
there's only going to be 10 Call of Duty games, for goodness sake.
Yeah. So number 11 was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Number 12 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the one that released last year. Number 13, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Right.
Number 14, Mario Kart 8.
Right.
Number 15, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Number 16 was Battlefield 1. Number 17 was Battlefield 4. Number 18 was Destiny. Okay. Number 19 was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Really?
And number 20 was Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh. That's a bit less depressing.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought the bottom half of the list was depressing. I think I just saw so much Call of Duty in the top 10 and just went, nah, I'm not reading the rest of this. But no, that's
they can't they can't all be called 20. There's only going to be 10.
I mean, all 10 of them. All 10 of them are there. Like, they're all in the top 15. 10 out of 15 games,
including the one where you went to space and fought John.
Yes. That was the bottom one. That was the worst selling Call of Duty game of the decade.
That's the one everyone hates. That's still outsold everything else.
Even the one that's only been out since last October sold better than the Jon Snow Call of Duty Jon Snow edition. The PlayStation 4 was the best selling platform of the decade. Xbox One was second, and Xbox 360 was third.
Yeah, that's what I'd expect.
Is pretty much. I was wondering if maybe it's like Switch was going to sneak it, but apparently not. Anyway,
it's only been out for 2 years.
That's true, but it is sold
2.5,
impressively well.
Yeah.
Like I said, sneak it. I didn't think it was going to be like, oh, the Switch is the best selling. No.
Well, no, it's like 3 years of the Switch is not to sell 3 years of the Xbox 360 at the end of its life cycle.
True. Yeah, it was like Xbox 360 had 3 years, actually. Like 3 and a bit years.
Yeah, 3 years as the dominant console, and however much time it had where people were still buying 360s when the Xbox One was out just because it was cheap.
This is true. This is what happens. People buy the other console when it's cheaper. There'll be a bunch of people who buy an Xbox One when the PS5 and Xbox X come out because they want to play the exclusives that they missed in the previous generation. I did.
Because it'll be cheaper and it'll be a mass market prospect.
Yeah,
and
the games were cheap.
The cheapest console that outputs in 4K.
This is also true. Right, let's have a look. That's the stuff that I wanted to dead on talk about. Let's see what we've got left. Let's do this one. And see, I've stopped putting every single headline in the beginning of the show because we never get to every single headline. And now I can just talk about the things we desperately need to talk about, and then I can pick and choose from what's left. And I want to choose this one. Definitely. NHS chief says loot boxes are setting kids up for addiction to gambling. This is from Wesley Yin Poole over at Eurogamer, who writes, the NHS's mental health bosses said loot boxes are, quote, setting kids up for addiction by teaching them to gamble, end quote. In a strongly worded statement, NHS Mental Health Director Claire Murdoch called for a crackdown on gambling addiction risks, and that would involve video game companies banning loot boxes from games children play. The NHS confirmed the opening of a new treatment centre in response to growing concerns about addiction to gaming. This sits alongside up to 40 new NHS gambling clinics nationwide, designed to address significant mental ill health linked to addiction. Murdoch said, quote, "Frankly, no company should be setting kids up for addiction by teaching them to gamble on the content of those loot boxes. No firm should sell to children loot box games with this element of chance, so yes, those sales should end. Young people's health is at stake, and although the NHS is stepping up with these new innovative services available to families through a long-term plan, we cannot do this alone, so other parts of society must do what they can to limit risks to safeguard children's well-being." End quote. Loot boxes discourse is still a thing in 2020.
Good. It should be.
Like, it's still trucking along. Thing is, now we're not like, we don't have a paralyzed fucking government, like, for better or worse.
Well, yeah, that's
like,
not touch that.
Things might actually like happen for other things. So like
other things,
because we had the whole committee and the whole like the whole like white paper and stuff last year, but it was a case of like all this stuff's happening and it's really good, but nothing is going to be done about it. Yeah. This year something might actually be done about it, so I thought it was worth including the NHS thing.
I mean, I think on the one hand, I think it's great that a lot of that the way this is sort of framed is it's a very well informed, very nuanced. This is a very specific that we have loot boxes and not video games are evils.
Yes,
you know, which is great. It's like shows how come that you can't just get kind of like lazy sort of just demonization of video games. On the other hand, it's also very kind of think of the children.
I mean, it literally is like we saw this coming all the way back from Star Wars. Yeah. This is what happened with Star Wars Battlefront, right? Like the senator from Hawaii who stood up and he literally said like, "Oh, the new Star Wars game is like a fucking online gambling casino aimed at getting children addicted to fucking gambling."
Which is still unfortunate dialogue about video games is that it's always in terms of how is this going to hurt children. And it's like, well, how realistically stop that without sort of thinking about the rating system? Like, children are always going to be playing stuff they shouldn't be.
100%.
So 100%. Maybe don't frame the discussion in terms of children's mental health and addiction, and just in terms of mental health and addiction.
I think it is an issue of mental health in general and addiction in general. I feel like people like Claire Murdoch, who's quoted in this article, are framing it in a way about children, because the unfortunate reality is the way like you get things done on the political spectrum, I don't know if that's the right word, the way you get things done in politics or politically is to like do the whole won't somebody please think of the children.
Like I know why they're doing it. I just find it in poor taste a little bit.
I mean, you're right, it is. It's a bit exploitative. It's a bit misguided because, like you say, like kids are going to play these games anyway. Like you can slap an 18 rating on FIFA all you want.
I don't think that I don't think the takeaway from this should be that loot boxes are bad for children because it's teaching them gambling. I think the takeaway should be loot boxes are bad and we need to fucking ban them.
Loot boxes are a gateway to gambling for everybody. They can cost a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, because I worry that again it's part of the bigger problem that the failure of the industry to regulate themselves means that the government's going to do it. And I think if a government's going to, I'm always worried about any kind of government coming in, bringing fire and thunder, screaming, think of the children.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is what I think we were all worried about. All those many years ago. It's been more than 2 years since Star Wars Battlefront 2. Ignited the conversation. And it's nice to know that it hasn't petered out.
And the other thing, as bad as loot boxes are, I think that there's other predatory video game practices of targeted children that have gone unnoticed. I'm thinking of things like all the shitty free-to-play games on mobile, and we're not really talking about them. And maybe these need to be part of the conversation.
True. No, this is true. Yeah. You can't talk about too many things at once. Everybody will get
Yeah.
confused.
Well, no. Well, you can't. Because on the one hand, that's something that always needs to be dealt with. On the other hand, once we start thinking about, well, here are all the shitty things that happen in video games.
We might end up accidentally getting video games banned if we did that.
Yeah. The story, it's well nuanced here, but I don't want the story to become video games are bad for children.
Yeah.
Again.
Like we've been down this road before. Like video game violence. I mean, that still props up every now and again.
Well, yeah, but that's shot. That's every time I shoot in America that pops up.
Yeah, that's just It's not even like taken seriously by most of the mainstream at this point. I don't think.
No.
Anyway, there's another story I want to do as well. With all its games looking the same, Ubisoft shakes up its editorial team. This is from Owen Escott over at Polygon, who writes, Ubisoft is overhauling the central editorial team that advises on all its productions following lackluster sales of 2 Tom Clancy games that CEO Yves Guillemot blamed on a lack of differentiation in consumers' minds, and also a lack of differentiation in the fucking games, Yves. Video Games Chronicle reports that Ubisoft Chief Creative Officer Serge Hascoy will remain in charge of Ubisoft's editorial group, but that he will be given more subordinates and they'll be given more autonomy, so that he is able to lead from a broader perspective rather than directing individual projects himself. This change is meant to give Ubisoft's individual franchises, from For Honor to Assassin's Creed, more distinct identities. And just as a note to whoever wrote this article over at Polygon, those are probably the 2 franchises in Ubisoft's fucking stable that are completely different from one another. So good job picking those.
They're both like historical shit.
Yes. True. I'll give you that point. An unnamed source told VGC that the previous structure often meant that the taste and opinions of 1 or 2 important people in the editorial team made it into Ubisoft's games, making many of them feel the same. Ubisoft's focus on open-world environments in its AAA offerings and, even more recently, live service games with long lifespans contributes further to the blurring. And then it's just about, the reason this happened. Ghost Recon Breakpoint landed with a thud in October, both critically and commercially. In a call with investors later that month, Gilmore said Breakpoint had been strongly rejected by a significant portion of the community and that it did not come in with enough differentiation factors which prevented the game's intrinsic qualities from standing out. That's one of those sentences where you say 12 words when 6 would do.
Well, it's couched in management speak.
Yes,
has been strongly rejected by a significant portion of the community. You could just say people didn't buy.
People didn't buy it.
Know? Did not come in with enough differentiation factors, i.e., it was samey as fuck.
It was
prevented the game's intrinsic quantities from standing out.
So I played Division. I played the Division 2 quite a bit last year because I actually got into it a bit. As like a game I could put on, where I'd like put a podcast on, but because my ADHD brain goes, you can't just sit there and listen to a podcast, you have to be doing something. I play a game. So like the Division 2 is quite a good game for like listening to podcasts too, and I enjoyed it. And then in October I got Breakpoint.
That's the one with John Byrne.
That's the one with John Bernthal. And Breakpoint, like,
that's all I know about. It's like it's got the Punisher in it. That's all.
It had an open world which didn't really need, a bunch of side missions which didn't really need, a gear system and a gear leveling system which was pointless.
How many towers did you have to?
I mean, a lot, but not to unlock the map. Like you have to go back to base. There's like you had a base in inside a cave where you got side quests from all the different characters. Exactly like in the Division 2, like you would just run back to like get the people and stuff, and it was just like there was so much about that game where it was like, this is in the Division 2 and the Division 2 is popular, therefore we're going to put this in Breakpoint, and it was like, it doesn't need to be in there. Like you had like stats for the guns, but this wasn't the Division and it wasn't an RPG, so like a headshot kills someone. So like you had all these stats for the guns and they were fucking meaningless because like whether you were fighting like a dude who was level 1 or a dude who was level 50, if I shot them in the face, they still died.
But the thing about open world RPGs is that they're easy to monetize DLC for. Which
exactly.
I've been playing through Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
Finally. And I actually think it's not as bad as people think, because I've not been getting like the like the time saving things allegedly you need to get a decent experience. I think there reaches after 10 hours it gets good. It's like once you reach a certain point, it's like I didn't really feel like I felt like I was getting enough XP and money that I didn't really need to buy extra stuff for it. But that whole interface, like the whole design of the thing, is lousy with fucking buying cosmetics for bullshit. And it's like
buy the unicorn, buy the pack that'll let you like craft all the stuff. Like buy this legendary weapon. Yeah, I remember. I wonder if they patched. I wonder if they balanced out the game in a patch. Because I remember I got the game because I was sent the game by Ubisoft to play it, and I was playing it, and I was really like finding that I did need to grind between like missions, like.
Yeah, that's the worst part, is that you can't just mainline story,
which is what I kind of wanted to do.
You have to go and grind and do the side quests. Various quality where you should. It's very, very much. Ubisoft have admitted this was their inspiration. It's very much like The Witcher in that regard, and that it's got a lot of quests, and I feel like it takes a while before it really gets fun.
Yeah. The problem with that approach is like your writing needs to be on point, because in The Witcher 3, like I was over leveled after a certain point for everything I was doing, because I was like, I want to do this side quest because the story in it's good. I want to do this side quest. I'm doing a side quest where I'm getting like 2 XP for it, but because it's so fucking good, I'm like, I want to experience this content. Whereas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I was kind of like, I want to get back to the main story, but I've got to do this
like,
fort.
I'm 40. Oh god, there's all those fucking. I'm like 40 hours in, and I kind of just want to do like supernatural shit and mainline the story, and then be.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's very obviously sort of mainline Ubisoft made by community world climate. Here's a bunch of unlockables for you to buy, kind of thing, and it's not just Ubisoft, although they're the worst offenders. Like I remember. I think it was 2017. It was the month the Switch came out, when we got like Breath of the Wild, Mass Effect Andromeda, Ghost Wildlands, Horizon Zero, and that was the sort of point where open world fatigue sort of hit Persona 5. Open world fatigue kind of sort of hit me at once.
Yeah,
this is just what every AAA video game is like. Is just like this massive world where I climb a fucking tower to a map, and
no, that's fair. Like
you know,
like I don't think I was. I think playing Breath of the Wild and Horizon. I didn't play Wildlands.
No, did I? Like I ended up staggering them out. Like, okay, I'm gonna play Mass Effect.
I played Mass Effect, yeah, sure.
I'm going to play Persona 5, and I don't have a Switch yet, so I'm actually delaying Breath of the Wild, which is astonishing. And then I waited till Horizon Zero Dawn was on sale, and I think I got like 10 hours into it, and just stopped. And I did finish Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild's really fucking good. But I was sort of hesitant to start it because of this. Like, it was just.
I think part of the problem isn't necessarily just that there were a lot of open world games at that point. Like Mass Effect Andromeda, you could mainline it, the story, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
But I had a review copy of it when EA was still talking to me before the whole Battlefront thing. And I had a review guide, so like in this review guide was like all the different like best side quests to check out. So I was like, cool, I'll just use this guide because that's what I do normally when I'm playing games like this.
So Mass Effect Andromeda's problems were not just that it was like it had become open world, and compared to say Mass Effect 2, which was very linear, very mission driven, and probably stronger for it. I felt like BioWare probably felt there was a lot of pressure to sort of be a big, gigantic open world in a sort of post-Skyrim, post-Witcher world. That's sort of what a AAA game is like, unless you're Call of Duty, and even then,
you just do what you do, right? I mean, even they had side quests and stuff at one point in Infinite Warfare.
They've got a Battle Royale mode, which is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. It's like the same thing for a different genre, right? It's like that the pressure on there is Battle Royale. Like, that's why Apex Legends is a thing instead of Titanfall 3. But no, like
I think
I don't think like I think what happened is for me personally, just talking about open world games. Again, I didn't play Wildlands. I played Andromeda very differently. But then you have like Breath of the Wild, which was an amazing game that I had a couple of problems with personally, and then Horizon Zero Dawn, which like Breath of the Wild is one of the best open worlds I've ever experienced. Horizon Zero Dawn had like some of the best enemies in an open world game I've ever like. I love the combat of that game. So like between those two and the fact that I've already played The Witcher 3, which has like meaningful content around every fucking corner. So then when it's like I don't know if it's necessarily like open world fatigue so much as it is just now I'm at a point where an open world game needs to step its fucking game up. Like
right, okay. Like what is the unique selling point of this particular open world game? Like, and if it's just shooting brown people in the face in the name of freedom.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man is a perfect example because that came out like a year and a half later. The unique selling point of that game is it's fucking rad. Like to actually play the game is really fun.
The unique selling point is that it's Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. It's like it's got a really good Spider-Man story, and the swinging is really cool.
And it's also not gigantic. It's not 100 hours long, which I think helps.
Yeah.
Like the open world is actually quite small. Like it's quite. You can get from one side of Manhattan to the other in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of the few games where it's like you don't really want to fast travel because swinging is cool.
There's a fast travel system, but it probably doesn't really need it.
No, I only used it 5 times to get the trophy. Like I never actually used it in the normal course of playing the game until I was like, okay, trophy hunting time. Like, oh, I need to do this. But yeah, it's like now when it's like an average like open world game, like Far Cry New Dawn is a good example where it was like this is just literally more Far Cry, like from Far Cry 5, which was literally just more from Far Cry 4, which was literally just more from Far Cry, and it's just like cool. I'm not necessarily burned out on the open world games, but you're not really giving me anything here, so it's like I'm not really that fussed about you. And I think that's the problem.
Because that's like 90% of what Ubisoft produces that isn't Just Dance.
Yeah, like no, Ubisoft game. Like, there's a reason. Like, it's a Ubisoft game is a thing. It's like it is just the same crap over and over again. Like, not crap. It is just the same thing over and over again. And it's like I'm starting to get sick of it.
And I get why. I get why they're sort of gone that way because those are games with long tails and also easily monetizable. Yeah. Even less cynically, it's a good way of selling like extra DLC and the like why they do it.
Yeah, 100%. Like. Totally.
But it's got to reach a point where it's going to cannibalize their sales. Like, do you need? Well, yeah. How many games with Tom Clancy's in the title do you need?
Yeah, it's like at least,
especially when it's in genre.
Like looking at all of the Tom Clancy games that were shown at E3 last year. Like we don't know much about Rainbow Six Quarantine, but at least that looked like a different kind of game. Like. Breakpoint, there was very little difference between Breakpoint and the Division 2, like apart from the multiplayer. Like,
maybe part of the reason everyone's clamoring for a new Splinter Cell is because it's going to be something different.
Like, I'd like to hope that they don't turn Splinter Cell into an open world fucking RPG. Like, just make a Splinter Cell game.
I was going to say it's hard to see how they could, but then that's kind of what Metal Gear Solid 5 was, which also came.
It's like, like, please.
Again, Metal Gear Solid became an open world game. It's like games that hadn't been open world games became open world games. Like, there's already enough of them, and it's stop it.
Yeah, it's like if you do it well, fair enough. But the problem is, like, the bar is a lot higher in 2020 than it was when all this started in, like, probably like 2014, 2015. Like, because we've had The Witcher and we've had Breath of the Wild and we've had Horizon Zero Dawn. It's like cool. Like that means that everything that comes after that needs to like set the standards higher than just like being another open world game. Like having an open world in your game doesn't mean hey your game is going to be awesome. Like because it's got this massive world.
And in fairness to Ubisoft, the open world Assassin's Creed, so Origins and Odyssey have both been really.
Yeah,
I think for the most part.
Yeah, I think those are good games.
But I think when every game in your portfolio starts to look like
Like, we did this one thing really well. Now we're just going to spread it across 10 different games. It's like, by the time you get to that 10th game, I'm going to be like, this is fucking stop it now.
Yeah. I'm not going to buy every game. It's like, it sort of undermines the idea that your name is a mark of quality. It's like, I know I'm going to get it from Ubisoft, but also I could just get it from any of the other Ubisoft.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'll tell you what, instead of playing Breakpoint, why don't I just load up the Division 2 again? Like, because I don't need to pay for that experience. And I imagine a lot of people thought the same thing. Yeah. So this is hopefully a move that's gonna.
Yeah, it's good to see that they seem to be recognizing them.
I hope this means we go back to like Ubisoft doing those smaller games as well, like when they did like the Valiant Hearts and Child of Light and Grow Home like games, like the smaller experimental games.
I'd like to think so, but I kind of feel like that's probably that ship has sailed.
I hope not.
I think like a massive publisher like them should be doing more to sort of like up and coming small team talent.
Like I know they're the worst, but like EA, right, with their EA original stuff, where it's like here's an indie game that we're gonna pay for, like Unravel and A Way Out and everything like that.
Or even like, go back when EA were like releasing Mirror's Edge and Dead Space, even when they weren't selling very.
It's like they were still releasing those games because it broadens their portfolio, builds goodwill. Like it builds goodwill really well. Cool. So let's just do games out this week and then get the fuck out of here. The games out this week are Retrace on PC on January 20th. On January 21st, Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collection on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. On January 23rd, we've got The Walking Dead Sinners and Saints on Oculus Rift platforms, and we've got Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC on PS4 and Xbox One, and we've also got two games in the series that I can never pronounce on the first attempt. Yutowarerumono, Mask of Truth and Mask of Deception are both coming out on PC. And Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered is coming to PS4, Switch, Android, and iOS. We're not doing the Guess the Open Critic Score because most of those games are either DLC or re-releases.
Yeah.
So we'll start that up again sometime. When there's games that we can actually do that for. I've played one of the games on this list. I'm embargoed right now, but by the time this podcast comes out, I'm not going to be. So Retrace is a cool little game. Look it up on Steam. It's kind of cool. If you like adventure games and lots of gay characters.
Hooray.
Hooray. It's really weird as well. Like, if you dig, like, weird stuff, like, I can't remember what the influences were for the game. Zero Escape. A couple other games I've never played before. But it's cool. It's cool. You should check it out. I'll have a video up for it already up. It'll be at noon on Monday because that's when the game comes out. Thank you very much for joining me, Patrick.
That's all right.
It's been fucking awesome.
Hope it's not too much of a pain to edit with.
It'll be fine. There. At least now we know how to fix it. Like,
switch it off and on again.
Just switch Discord off, exit Discord, come back in. It's fine. It just means a couple of edits here and there. I don't mind.
Okay.
It's always nice to have your input, so it's definitely worth it. But that's going to do it. So I guess all that's left to do is to say bye. So I guess say bye.
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 Bye-bye.